Hello adventurers, welcome to Adventurerathon, where this time things are getting a little spooky. If you are new here, Adventurerathon is a readathon that I started, was it last year? No, the start of last year. We did 2 character creation rounds where you got to build characters, and then from January this year we started to take them on adventures. In the first adventure you found yourself on an island where you were recruited by the Adventurers Guild, set on a series of tasks throughout the island where each time you were given a small scenario and had to choose from 4 options that your character would do. At the very end of the readathon you entered the Unknown Depths, which was a series of caverns where you were taken to a set path, and if you selected all option 1 during your journey, then you went down path 1, option 2s, etc. And as you walk through the path you start to notice that the world around you is changing and that the path is actually a portal to a new location. This round starts off at the end of those pathways. You're going to find yourself in a new location. I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction to where you've ended up and then talk you through all the different aspects for this readathon. Some new rules, some changes to rules, some things that you could do last time that you can't do this time, vice versa, and then just take you through the different prompts, the different activities and different ways that you can earn things throughout the month to help you on your journey. I will say that this readathon is taking place in 2 phases. The first phase is going to be sort of a bit of an individual and collective, so as a collective you're going to need to collect a certain amount of keys that I'll just explain in a bit more detail coming up. But individually you'll be completing the prompts and you'll be submitting them as an individual, and that phase will take place from the 1st to the 22nd of September. And then the second phase will be what I'm calling the BBEG fight, the boss battle, the big fight, the big showdown. This will take place from September the 23rd to the 30th and is going to be a team effort to take down the big evil villain. Before I start with like the story and everything like that, I do just very quickly want to disclaim I am aware that this is also the month of the Magical Readathon this time, because fantastically G decided to bump it from August to September this year, which meant it's now clashing with us, and I had specifically chosen September for this round to not clash with a Magical Readathon, so I was thrilled to find that out. So I am aware a lot of you might be taking part in that as well, so I'm hoping that a lot of these prompts can also be used for, and books can be used for, the Magical Readathon. We also had some feedback last time that too many of the prompts were sort of more heavily geared towards fantasy and that they would have preferred to have more less sort of genre specific prompts. We have tried to accommodate for that, especially in the main prompts for this one. However, you've got to bear in mind this is a spooky themed adventure, therefore there are going to be some that are more specifically geared at fantasy, horror, thriller, paranormal, that kind of thing. But certainly for the predominant 10 prompts, and certainly in the last week where there are no prompts and literally anything goes, I'm hoping you can find something to read. Welcome to Ashwood. This is a kingdom that was reigned for centuries by the Ashwood family. People lived in happiness, they lived in harmony, their crops were always good, the leaders loved their people, the people loved their Lord and Lady Ashwood and the Ashwood family for generations. Everyone lived in peace and harmony, that is until one fateful dark and stormy night, because, you know, all of these stories that start with a dark and stormy night, where a relatively unknown lord from a kingdom far, far away came to visit. What the Ashwoods did not realise when they took in Lord Lucian Umbra under their roof was that he was in fact not who he claimed to be, and was in fact a cursed spirit who in one night ended the entire line of the Ashwoods, took over ruling the kingdom and placed everyone under a curse to relive that night over and over and over again. Some who'd been holding a feast to celebrate the Lord's visit are constantly in a state of celebration. Others who are in the midst of fighting Lord Umbra's servants are still out there fighting. The priests spend their nights trying to find ways to defeat this demon, while others are destined to roam the forest forever, unable to find their ways back home. Wherever you end up, you will find yourself being greeted by one of these different scenarios. This is a two-edged prompt, but you must complete this. As you know, I try to do it so that you have to complete as few prompts as possible to take part. This is the only one that I'm saying is an absolute must. Nobody can skip this one. You have to do it. And it's a bit of a two-parter. All of them you should be able to double up, but if you can't, you will have to read 2 books, but if you can, only 1. And that is to read a book with something on the cover that relates to where you've ended up. As well as those, you also need to read a book with a map inside. I am aware this is very generally geared towards fantasy, so the alternative is that if you cannot find a book that has a map inside and also the prompt that you need to find, then the alternative prompt for this is to read a book that features a real location on Earth, in the real world. If you end up in location 1, it's food and drink on the cover. Location 2 is the weapon of your character's choosing. So if they are predominantly a sword user, a book with a sword. If they are a bow and arrow user, a bow and arrow on the cover. Firearms, etc. Whatever their primary weapon of choice is, it must be on the cover. Path 3, it's mist or fog or smoke. And path 4 is a book that is either a predominantly white or grey cover. So, you know, it might be a bakery store in New York with food on the cover. It might be a fantasy world with a map inside that's got smoke on the cover. Any of that combo, as long as you fulfill the 2 prompts, either in 2 books or 1 book, that will get you through. When you finish that, there will be a little scenario for you to read, and you will be presented a map which shows the layout of the mansion that you will be entering for the first 3 weeks of the readathon. We have 2 floors for you to cover, each has 5 rooms. Each room will have a prompt, and when you fulfill the prompt you will end up with one of 2 things happening. You will either earn a key or you will earn a magical item. The keys are going to be needed to be collected because as a team you're going to have to collect enough of each key, because there are 5, so you'll have to get X number of 1s, X number of 2s, X number of 3s, etc. in order to be able to unlock the final dungeon in the final week. And then the magical items, these are things that you can win that will aid you in that final battle, but I am not telling you in this video what they are. You will find out when you earn them. As you walk around the house, here are the different rooms and the different prompts available for you. Room number 1 is as you enter the house. It is the entryway. You notice that the house kind of almost doesn't seem very welcoming. You feel that it's very dark, it's very foreboding. There's just this presence that says you are not welcome. For this, it's to read a book that is either a sentient house or a haunted house, or if you cannot find anything that will fit that, then it's to read a gothic that gives you that kind of dark, creepy, atmospheric, haunted feeling. Room number 2 is the kind of the grand room. You can see that in the past they have held banquets here. You can see that this has been set up for like a ballroom and for dances and anything that has like a social kind of gathering. And for this one, it is to read a book that features a ballroom, a community hall, a wedding hall, any kind of societal meeting gathering space. So it can't be, say, a library where they just use it for social things, because primarily it is a library. It has to be a place where it has been created for the purpose of social events such as, you know, town halls, church halls, community centres, recreational places, things like that. Anywhere where there are large societal gatherings counts. Room number 3 is the study. It's what you think, it's a basic study. This one was one of Ren's prompts, and the prompt is to read a book where the character learns something. Now this can be literal, where they're going to school and they're learning things at school, or it can be a little bit more metaphorical, such as they learn a valuable life lesson, they discover that they have a sibling they didn't know about, or there's a big dark family secret, or even something like an actor learning lines for a new play. Anything where there is something new going into a person's brain that they are learning will count towards this prompt. Number 4 is the kitchen. As with most grand houses, there is always a kitchen where there are servants that bustle and hustle around doing various jobs such as cooking the food, mending clothing. It's a gathering space particularly for the servants, and therefore it is to read a book that features a servant of any type. This could be a historical idea of a servant, like a maid or a butler in a grand house, or this can be a modern day version of those roles such as a cleaner, a housekeeper, a housemaid, a personal assistant, anything where it's sort of someone working for another person in a role that could be seen as sort of serving them. And then the final room for downstairs is the receiving or drawing room, and this is a Jonah prompt. He did a bit of research in this, and fun historical fact, drawing rooms like this only ever have one single chair in them. So for this one, Jonah decided the prompt is going to be to read a book with a single point of view. And then moving our way upstairs, we have 5 more rooms. The first of these is another very large room. You can see that it's been used for different functions. It's got a multifunctional purpose. At the moment it's being used for storage and for broken items, but you can see signs where it has been used in the past for different various gatherings and social events. And so as a multifunctional and multi-purpose room, the prompt is to read a mixed media book, or a book that has multiple different ways you can read it. So if you have a book that also has an audio book, you can choose to do an immersion read, so you're listening to it while reading it, or you can read a book that's got a little bit of mixed media, so this might have text messages, emails, photos, anything like that in there that isn't just plain text writing. That will all go into that category. Moving on to the master bedroom, and this is another one of Ren's prompts, which is to read the entirety of this book in bed. So whether it's a 50-page manga or a 5,000-page tome, you have to read the entire thing while in bed. You can spread it out over a few weeks or a few days or a few weeks, but it all has to be done whilst in bed. Then we move into a child's bedroom. You can see this used to have lots of child's toys, and it's got a cot and a small child's bed. In this room, you have to read a book with the main character is a parent. If you cannot get one at all and you are really struggling with this one, the alternative prompt is to read a book where the protagonist or the main character is aged 12 or under. Number 9 is the guest room, and who better to have over to stay with you as guests than your friends? This is one of Jonah's prompts, and in this one it is to read a friend-picked book. So get a friend, get them to pick a book for you, you read it. And then our final room is what looks to be a research alchemical sort of lab, and that is to read a book that features alchemy, chemistry, any kind of science like that, whether it be fantasy or real. So it could be like magical alchemy, real life alchemy, it could be studying for potions, it could be someone who is a chemist, things like that. And you can be creative with this one as well if you wish to be. While you are travelling around this house and around this building, you notice that there is a raven following you around. In his claws, he is grabbing a purse that jingles with the sound of coin, and in his beak, he is holding a collection of keys. It kind of gives you a familiar vibe, and when you stop and think about it, you realise that this vibe is very similar to that of the merchant, and the way that the raven looks at you with that kind of sardonic, sarcastic, mischievous way, you suddenly think that maybe this raven could be the merchant. So you are able to purchase keys throughout this readathon. So if there are prompts and you either are running out of time to fulfill them, or you are finding that you're not wanting to read any of the prompts, you can opt to skip the trying to find which room the keys are in and instead simply buy them. But word of warning, each time you buy a key, the value of the next key increases. So your first key will cost you 100 gold, your second key will be 250, third key will be 500, fourth key will be 1,000, and if you buy the fifth key, it will be 1,500 gold. So you have got a lot of money that you would need to spend. This is why in the previous round I was sort of warning you to hold on to your money and don't spend all of it, and also the bank is still available if you're not sure how much money you accrued in the last round. Each room you complete you will earn 100 gold. As with previous prompts, you do earn for for fulfilling each room. So you can earn up to 1,000 gold by doing the prompts, but you know, it's up to you how you want to go. I will say the merchant is unable to access their wares for anything else this round. So for this round only, anything you purchased in the previous round you may still use, but you can unfortunately not buy any of the previous items in this round specifically. You will again in future rounds, but just right now you won't be able to have an access to that. So if you've got anything in the bank already, fantastic. Any gold you've already earned, brilliant. And I will also say, if you are brand new, this is your first time joining us, I am going to allow you to start with 500 gold, because everyone else we've had time to accumulate, and some people haven't. Sort of, I think the highest I've seen is someone that's earned over 3,000 gold. So I feel like 500 is a good starting point, and we're also still running the mini round until the end of August, so you still have a few weeks to check out the mini round and earn a bit of gold through that as well, so you're not starting with no money. So those are the prompts that you'll be working on in the first 3 weeks, and by doing those prompts you'll fill in a form every time you do a prompt or purchase a key, so that I can keep track of how many keys have been earned, like how many of each key has been earned. Once you have hit the threshold, or you are close to hitting, I will let you know, like, oh, you've now collected enough of key 1, you've now collected enough of key 2. So you will get updates on how you are doing throughout that 3 weeks. And also don't forget, on Discord, that is where you can chat and you can sort of be more, you know, have a chat. You can be more strategic on there and talk through strategies and theories and discuss it with each other, help each other out. And so once you've collected enough keys, we will move into and I will definitely give you warning before the end of that period, like how many keys are left in order to progress. So you're not going to be suddenly stuck without being able to progress. In the final week, you are going to enter Lord Lucian Umbra's chambers, where you are going to face this demon from hell, who is actually a very dark and evil fey spirit who has taken over this kingdom, has a reign of terror, and has a little bit of a habit of running through the property on a black horse, carrying his head in his arm and terrifying everybody who he comes across. Yes, he is the big bad evil villain, and he is also a Dullahan, which is an Irish fey spirit. And for this final week, as a team, you are basically going to have to read as many pages as possible. He has a very high amount of health. In order to get his health down to 0 to defeat him and end this curse, you will need to read the amount of pages that is equal to his health. Again, you're not going to be told immediately what that is, but every day you will get an update on how well you've done. About 2 days before the end, you will get this is what his health is at, how much you need to get him done. But this is where those magic items that you may or may not win as you go through the house will come in handy, because they will offer you certain boons and certain extras that you can do to help increase that word page or decrease things that he might do. Because don't forget, the big bad evil villain isn't just going to stand by and let you destroy him, he's going to fight back. As for your side quests and bounties, unlike last time, there will be no sort of set bounties and side quests this time around. Instead, there are 2 sort of side activities you can do as completely optional extras. So if you've done that first week, you've done all of the prompts and you're now sat there going, well, I've got nothing to do for 2 weeks. What you can do instead are one of these 2 things, or both. The first one is create a new character. Thanks to Max, who is a friend of Ren's and myself, but is Ren's best friend. He came up with the idea of a new character, which was the Dullahan, aka the Headless Horseman, and so there is a character devoted entirely to the Dullahan. I won't go through every single prompt with this one, but I will say some of the prompts included are things like reading an Irish author or set in Ireland, a book featuring a Headless Horseman, reading your most expensive book, your ugliest book, a slasher, a horror, and there is also a non-reading prompt in there. So if you're interested in all of that, have a look and maybe see about building a second character and building a little character for this quest, or just become the bad guy for yourself if you want. There is also going to be a fun bingo challenge, and this one is a creature feature. I've come up with various sort of monsters and creatures that are typically found in kind of horror, thriller, novels or sort of darker fantasies, and there's quite a variety here, so whether or not you choose to just go down the regular a book contains it, or if you go down the sort of smutty route and try to challenge yourself and read all the monster smut you can, it's completely up to you. Treat it as you wish, do whatever you want. The only thing is you cannot double up these prompts, so while you can read, say, a book in the main challenge that has vampires and tick it off on the bingo board as well, if you read a book that has vampires and werewolves, you can't tick them both off on the board, you can only choose to tick one. So do bear that one in mind if you go down that route. So those are like the two sort of extra side challenges for you to do through this month, through this challenge. There will also be some giveaways. In the final week, there will be a form for you to fill in for every single book that you submit, mostly so I can track the health points and the hit points that are being taken off the bad guy, but also every single book that you enter will go into a prize draw and one of you will earn an Amazon voucher. And then we will also, for the bingo board, if you complete it on standard mode, which is to, you know, double up with what you've already read and maybe a few extra books, that one will earn you 1 entry. If you do it on the hard mode, which is to do it completely separate books to the rest of the challenges, that one will earn you 3 entries into a second giveaway. So there are two ways that you can get a giveaway. I'm also going to do some sort of in-bounty giveaways as well, so you will earn some extra gold and extra items that you can then use in the next round, just as like a little fun thing for your characters, but also so that because you're not accessing the merchant this time, it means that a few of you can still come away with a couple of prizes. As always, there will be the Discord open and available for you to use at any time. Please do make use of that. All updates will be done on there. We do have a social media manager. Thank you, Jonah. But your best chance of getting every single bit of information that you are going to need is to check on the drive, and also always check on Discord, especially in that final week. When you are fighting Lord Lucian, you will need to have these updates to know what's going on. If you took part in the amazing readathon that Brief and 4 Paws and a Book did recently, you will see that it's going to be a very similar format in that I will post a little video with the scenario for that day and what's going on, and then you will have to act accordingly. It's not going to be anything super drastic, but it will just be a fun little way to be a bit more interactive and also have a little bit more of a real-time experience with the readathon and add a bit of a competitive element without you having to compete against each other. I want to say a huge thank you to Ren and Jonah, as always, for being my co-hosts and for helping me with the planning, helping me come up with prompts on ones that I was stuck on. Jonah for coming up with the idea of doing a boss battle fight. That was just an absolute game changer when he suggested that at the start of the last round. Ren has just been an incredible sounding board and has had even more voice notes and messages than Jonah has. Thank you for putting up with me and loving me. So thank you to them. Thank you so much to Max for helping with the Dullahan. His suggestion of doing a new Dullahan character is what sparked the idea of who the big bad evil boss was going to be. I didn't want it to just be your typical like, oh, it's a vampire or it's a powerful fae or something like that. I wanted it to be something a bit different. And I also wanted to just say a big thank you to all of you for, you know, continuing to support this readathon, continuing to take part, continuing to enjoy it and give me the feedback that I need to improve every time. And yeah, I cannot wait to get started. I'm feeling really motivated. If you've been watching any of my videos recently, you'll be aware that I'm firmly slipping into a sort of more darker, atmospheric, gothic-y era. I've really been loving books like Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron, The Wayward Children by Shorten and Maguire. I've just been enjoying those books that have kind of, and The Raven Cycle, I've just been enjoying those kind of books that have got that kind of darker, atmospheric presence about them. So I feel like this is going to help, and who knows, maybe I'll end up reading horror. Who knows? So yeah, I will be aiming to get a recommendation video for the books, as always, will at some point this month. The plan is currently to have that out before the 20th. There is some stuff going on in my personal life right now, the biggest one being that I'm currently waiting for the phone call about a new niece or nephew who is now 4 days overdue. I'm currently on overnight duty, so if my sister-in-law goes into hospital, I am going to be going over to look after the 4-year-old. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. There's always health things as well, but I will be aiming to get that video out by sort of the 20th of August. I'm sure Ren and Jonah are probably already thinking about a video as well, if they are able to, and there's the Discord where you can ask for recommendations as well. I think I have covered everything, but if you think there is anything I have not covered and need to bring in or talk about, please do let me know, either in the comments or over on Discord. I'm always happy to listen to your suggestions and feedback, or if you have any questions, there is the help and support tab, so please do go check that out. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from me and for updates. Please do go check out my Patreon. I've got a video coming in the next couple of days with some updates and changes that I've made to my Patreon, and there are now a lot more rewards that are actual like sort of physical rewards, as well as coming in future months there will be a lot more Adventurerathon bonus content where you can earn extra gold, earn extra things, and get the opportunity to have a say and help form some of the future rounds. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please do go check out the Patreon. In the meantime, let me know if you are planning on taking part, whether this is your first Adventurerathon or if you've been here since day one. And yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait for the recommendation video and then to get everything started. But in the meantime, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. If you've got any questions, please do ask them below or over on Discord, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!